Welcome to the Stage Door. My name is Tanya Mazza, and I'm the Arts and Culture Coordinator for the town of Collingwood. This is our 4th episode, and hopefully a fun hour that brings you closer to the arts community for conversations, stories, and laughs with Canadian performing artists from Collingwood and beyond. Well, as you can see, I'm alone here at the Simcoe Street Theatre, and the show would be pretty boring with just me. So let's bring in the person who's going to take us beyond the stage door, and that's Erica Angus, the Executive Director for Theatre Collingwood. Hey, Erica.
Hi, Tanya. How are you tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. I'm trying not to be too excited. I get very excited about this, because there's nothing I love doing more than speaking about theater or artists or creative people. And sometimes I've been looking back at the videos. I'm a little over the top. So I'm going to try to calm down. I can't promise.
I love it. We can balance each other out. It's perfect. I love it.
How was your last 2 weeks?
I think they've been pretty good, actually. I've been enjoying the nice weather, which has been awesome. Getting out on the water. Yeah. How about you?
I've had a great time. We're super, super busy at Theatre Collingwood for various reasons. Can I tell you something really exciting about Theatre Collingwood right now?
Yes.
We have sold out our fundraiser.
Amazing.
Yes. A round of applause.
That's so great.
We had 2 tickets left. This is the fundraiser that we're doing at the Georgian Hills Vineyards on Sunday. And we had 2 tickets left, and I popped it into a little newsletter this morning, and the phones went wild. We actually had way more people wanting tickets than what we could sell. So we're very excited. We're all praying to the weather gods right now. But I think we're going to have a great event.
Yeah, and it's inspired by...
Well, it's inspired by the musical Sunday in the Park with George. And, I don't know, Sunday in the Park with George is a musical that I love and hate at the same time. It's a really, it's a beautiful musical, Sondheim musical, beautiful music, but the end part is a little wonky for me. And so I struggle with that, but I always keep going and seeing it, and I love it. Anyways, it spoke to me in a lot of ways because, I was thinking about an afternoon where people could just stroll around this lovely property together, and we're kind of replacing the seaside with the vineyards. And the other thing is that play, that musical, went to Broadway in 1984, the year that Theatre Collingwood was founded.
How perfect.
That all about?
Yeah,
yes.
That's awesome.
So I'm very excited about that.
I was going to say, when I heard about your fundraiser on the weekend, I thought, well, I'm just going to check out a little bit about Sondheim. And I didn't realize he's 90. He's 90 years old.
Isn't that incredible? I can't really say that I knew that.
It's amazing. And I thought, well, what have I seen? What have I seen that he's done? Because I have not seen that particular musical. But West Side Story, I didn't realize that was a musical that he wrote the lyrics for. Sweeney Todd. Anyway, Into the Woods. I was so excited about that. I didn't see the Broadway show, but I saw the movie with Meryl Streep. Anyway, I just kind of digressed down this wonderful path.
Well, and it totally makes sense that we're talking about this because our second guest tonight is such a music aficionado, Micha Barnes. Where did that come from? Okay, I'm losing it. But I wanted to say also that the musical is inspired by, and I'll have to ask Katherine if I'm pronouncing this right, but by the artist, the painter George, I always want to say Surratt, I don't know if it's Surrey, who was a painter who painted in the pointillist style. And I love his art, the art form that he was passionate about. So we decided that we had to have a painter come, or an artist to come draw a painting or paint a painting at the vineyard. and that is going to be John Burton. So he is going, a wonderful Collingwood artist who's going to be our George.
Oh, that'll be great.
Yeah.
And John is a fascinating guy, great artist, of course, great person. And I happened to be speaking with him a month or so ago, and I'd been wondering about how some of the artists were doing during these crazy times. Yeah. And he happens to be an artist who's been very prolific over this time, has been painting away and creating lots of works, which is really exciting to hear that, yeah.
You know, he's so talented, but he also paints in a remarkably fast style. It's quite incredible. This painting that he is doing for us is 30 by 36 inches. He's already been out there doing sketches. And I'm happy to say that he's going to let us auction it off. So that's very exciting too. So that's Theatre Collingwood news. We also are getting very close to the Theatre Collingwood box office move, which is we're going to open on September 1st in our new box office location, which is 150 St. Paul. So very excited. I'm working now on boxes. Like, I don't have a desk anymore.
Oh. Well, it'll be fun when you're all packed out, all unpacked and settled in, and that'll be great.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I have to take a little sip here.
So while you're doing that, I wanted to acknowledge our Wizard of Oz, who's behind the scenes, moving stuff around and adjusting volumes and doing all that sort of, technical stuff. It made me look, got my lighting going here. And that's Tyler Cleary. So thank you, Tyler. Hey,
hello.
Are you there?
I'm here watching, listening, and enjoying. You two are always so entertaining. So it's a great show from back here, and I don't know, if I say you sound good and look good, that sounds like a brag. So I'll probably just leave it to you two and your wonderful guests.
That beautiful voice. It's incredible. Thank you, Tyler, because you know that we're not the techiest, so we really appreciate having you here. I also want to thank our sponsors. We have many wonderful corporate sponsors in Collingwood that support the artists. And so tonight we're especially thanking Blue Mountain Resort and Beach Hearings. So thank you very much to our sponsors. We couldn't do what we do without them. So, all right, well, our first guest, I'm so excited about, because not only is she an artist and a designer and a director and an amazing volunteer, but she's also a dear friend of mine. I actually love her to bits, and that is Katherine Huycke. So hello, Katherine, and welcome.
Thank you, Erica. I'm pleased to be here. This is so exciting.
I know. I'm just going to pretend we're on your back deck, having a little glass of wine.
Yes, yes.
And celebrating you. So, Katherine, I thought we would start out with something that maybe a lot of people don't know about you, and that's, how did you come to Collingwood?
I came to Collingwood in the late 60s, and it was a choice. We were skiing at the mountain, and I wanted to raise my children in a rural setting as opposed to Toronto.
Right, right. So you moved
Now the secret is out and everybody's coming.
Yeah, that's right. And you had quite a house full of children.
6 children, yes, yes.
So this is a true case of, if you want something done, ask a busy person. Right.
Well, it was a marvelous experience because it was in the country. They could run wild. There was a stream running through it. They could be creative. And as it turns out, they are all creative.
Yes, yes. Yeah. And I know that about your children. Your home, I first at Maple Street, was a labor of love for you.
Yes.
And I remember you telling me, it was just a little shack by the road, and I moved it back, I think you said 17 feet.
Yes, yes.
Did all this stuff to it. So
took the sledgehammer and made some changes.
And for anyone who has not had the opportunity to be in your beautiful home, it's so creative, and to me, it just always reminds me of a work of art itself.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And I know you're working on another one now.
Yes.
So then, if we stay back to times gone by, you
Yes.
were the owner of the fabric store in Collingwood.
Yes, I got into the fabric store business because I knew there were fabulous fabrics available. And when I arrived in Collingwood, there wasn't too much in the offerings. So I started it, and I ran that for about 20 years. It was a great experience.
Amazing. And through that, you were doing interior designs too in
Yes.
homes, right?
Yes, people would buy the fabric, wonder what to do with it. I'd say, well, let me come and have a look. I'll help you out. And that just took me down a whole other road.
Blossomed into your interior
Yes.
decorating
Yes.
career, really, from
Well,
Toronto.
that, and it even went further. It went into special events. It went into doing people's gardens. So it's been wonderful. Absolutely.
It's interesting, you know, that creative mind doesn't just
Yes.
stop at one thing, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So, Catherine, after all of that, well, probably during that time, you
Yes.
became, I'm not sure when you became friends with Barbara Wider, but certainly that friendship
Yes.
brought you to Theatre Collingwood. Or maybe you can tell us about those early days with Theatre Collingwood.
So I belonged to a very wonderful group of ladies, and it was the Senior League, all environmental for the most part. And when Barbara moved up from the States, married George, and located in Collingwood, she didn't know too many people. She was very interested in culture. And so she joined us, and then we thought we'd like to have theater. And so we ran the theater from that group, but the theater, as you know, has a hard time, staying out of the red. Mm-hmm. So we split off. We're talking now, the Senior League and the Blue Mountain Foundation for the Arts.
Right.
So we split off and focused totally on theater. And we worked a hard 30 some years, as you know.
Yes.
And it's been wonderful. So we're just so sorry that Barbara's not here.
I know.
She was such a driving force and such an influence on us all.
She really was. And Barbara was actually really the one that hired me. I remember when I first met Barbara that she said she wanted to take me out for lunch. And when one would be called by Barbara to go for lunch, it could be a little nerve-wracking. So I met her for lunch, and she wanted to hear about me, and I told her about me. And she said, Erica, I like you. I'm going to tell you my life story. And I think we sat there for about 3 hours, and I heard the whole life story, and I fell in love with her at that lunch. I really did. And she's been a tremendous mentor to me. And you're right, it's just a shame we lost her.
Yes.
So I know that your son, I think Daniel, but I'm sure many of them would say this.
Yeah.
I think it was Daniel that told me that you would sort of prop your children, you'd sort of say, that's it, you're coming and being in this play, or you're being on this float, or whatever. They kind of had to be a part of Theatre Collingwood, right? Whether they liked it or not.
Yes. I always enlisted their help, even in the fabric store when we were doing huge shows. They had to cart carry, help with the displays, and so they've learned so much. They really have. It's been a very good thing. Yeah.
It's amazing. And they're all lovely. They're really lovely. So then, I mean, I don't necessarily have this timeline, right? But then Gaslight came along.
Yes, Gaslight came along with Arlene Noble, And we looked at that, and we invited different agencies to come and take a look at it with us. And they thought maybe the Rotary Club would pick it up. Nobody picked up on it. So Arlene said, well, we'll just do it ourselves. And it grew to be a huge, again, interesting community initiative. And in the beginning, we would have at least 100 volunteers doing all sorts of things. And it's been fantastic. And of course, you know, like theater, like, you know, the way things are today, we don't know what's going to happen in the future and how we can continue on.
But it will continue on. I've had the pleasure of directing with you in 1 year in Gaslight. And that's what I love about Gaslight is how they teach people how to act, how to direct, how to stage manage, how to do whatever. And it's really a wonderful
And they make tremendous friendships. It's been absolutely marvelous, the friendships that have developed out of that. It's just been great.
Absolutely.
I like how we end up in the tea rooms, the marvelous tea rooms.
And we have a wonderful photograph of Katherine in one of her tea rooms. So Katherine, you design all the tea rooms, which are to use the word tea room is probably the wrong word, because they have been such beautiful, extreme, lovely resting spots at the end of the Gaslight tour. So could you tell us about some of the themes that you have done in the tea rooms?
So people that have gone to Gaslight and gone on the tours, they end up, the last one is the tea room, which is almost like a play in itself, because I do like it to be theatrical. I do like it to tie in with the theme that we are working on for that season. And lately it's been in the Anglican Church Parish Hall in Collingwood, which is a really easy, wonderful venue to showcase what we're working on because of its raised ceiling, like a clear story ceiling. Anyway, it's been just great fun. And we put through 850 people for a tea or a drink of sorts and something else to go with that. And it's a very, very busy time, but it's been really very positive. Everyone loves it. Tickets, as you know, you've heard, are sold out in 3 days or a week. And it's been great. Yeah.
Well, I have to tell you that when you speak about the tea room, you're being very modest because you do these beautiful art installations. And for example, one of my favorites was the lighthouse installation where, okay, it's going to be a lighthouse theme. So it's not just a lighthouse theme. You actually installed like a lighthouse, and I don't know how many flying
500, Erica, 500.
500 flying birds around
seagulls,
whatever they are, around the lighthouse in the air. There were stones and rocks, and it was just really the most beautiful venue to go to. And as you say, it really is almost a production in itself. And another one where it was a veterans sort of theme. Was it World War II or something? You had World War I. World War I.
Yes.
And that was at the Beeld House, and you installed how many poppies on the front lawn? I think you did it in the middle of the night or something. How many?
Hundreds.
Hundreds.
And those poppies are still being used today, Erica, because we sneaked down to the armistice in November, and we plant them all over again in the hedge that goes around, and it's fabulous. So we plant them all, so the next morning they're there, and then after the service is finished, we go and pick them up for another year.
And all all of this is a surprise that you do for the community, not
Yes.
because anybody tells you to or that you're getting paid or anything.
Yeah.
And really that brings me to another very special award that you,
Yes.
or acknowledgement that you were given from the Governor General. That is for your volunteerism. And
Yes.
that is huge.
Oh, shucks, I should have worn it. Oh,
You should have.
I should have worn it. Oh, I missed the boat there.
Right.
Shame.
So
Yes.
this woman does not just do things small. She does them very big, and it has been recognized by our government, and we're all so proud, really.
I've been volunteering since I was allowed out on the street at age 12, 13, and 14 for various agencies. I've always volunteered, and it's great fun meeting people, and you do get a sense of helping out. Yeah, it's great.
Well, one of the volunteer initiatives that you do that I got you into that you probably hate me for is we've been doing the Santa Claus parade in Collingwood for the last
it was great.
several years. Oh my gosh. So the weather is always the worst it could possibly be.
Always iffy, yes.
And I have to tell the listeners that, or viewers, that one year Katherine had this idea. We've done everything. But one year she decided it was going to be a theme of Paris, the Eiffel Tower, and we were all Parisian artists, and we were all dressed up on this. And she designed this Eiffel Tower, which Harold Bickerstaff built. However, Harold got the measurements wrong. So when we got to the first overhead wires, well, actually, we would have made it, except that Katherine had, again, the seagulls or whatever flying off the top of the Eiffel Tower. So we almost took down all the power grid in Collingwood, but we didn't. And that year, I have photographs of that. I wish I had brought them and pulled them up. The weather was so blizzardy, you could not even see.
It was.
But it was
very. We had to wait an hour before the parade took off, and we were frozen before we started.
But we have a lot of fun. So
Yeah.
amazing things that you do. When you volunteer, it's not in a small way. So then my friend
Yes.
Katherine is a beautiful artist. And you have had a dream about creating a line of children's books.
Yes.
And I just have to bring into you some little friends.
Yes. Yes.
This is Jazz and Pixie. Now, Katherine, I don't know. Do you have your books there? Because I
do.
copy.
I have them all here.
Yeah. So I want to see if I can show what you designed. So all the books are written by you. They're illustrated by you. And Jazz and Pixie travel all over the world and have exciting adventures. But not only are the books fabulous, but you created this little house that when you open it up, it's a picket fence with a little dog house, and the books are inside, and the little dogs go inside. And I have to tell you that
looks good.
Now that I have a 2.5-year-old grandchild, she absolutely adores these. And they come in all different colors. So it's like also an interesting way to learn about color. And she can say, read the orange book. I just love the orange book about the Grange. So how did you come up with this idea? Where did this come from, Katherine?
The idea came from the fact that I have had these two adorable dogs. I actually brought one back from Ireland in the early 60s. I bred them, and then I gave all of that up for a number of years because I was busy with children and shops and other things. And then I got into the dogs again, maybe about 15 years ago. And
we're talking about real dogs.
We had two King Charles Spaniels. They are King Charles Spaniels. And I always had two because I felt if I went out, they could talk to each other. they could say, you know, Mommy's coming back in about an hour. Don't worry. Just let's wait. Things will be okay. So I always had that in the back of my mind with them. And then when I sold our large family home, I went to France. And I took the dogs with me to France. And that was quite the procedure. They had to have their own passports to fly with. They had to get checked over. And it was really quite the journey. They were on planes, they were in trains, they were wherever. And while I'm in France, I'm alone. I don't have all of my children and their spouses and my grandchildren. So I'm quite alone over there for a couple of months until expats start to come down and visit. So I started writing little stories, and I have, as you know, a great imagination. So that wasn't too difficult. And in each of these books that you're speaking about, there's a little message for the children on support, on family, on kindness, bullying, all sorts of things. So I got going on the books, and I couldn't stop. I am actually quite obsessed. And so after I wrote the first 12 in this box set that you've just shown us, I wrote another 10. For example, the dogs have taken a course in Stratford, and they actually got to act on stage. They've taken windsurfing classes on the bay here, and they've gone to Grenoble and they've skied. I mean, they've just traveled everywhere and had the most amazing time. And can you see me? You can see me, can't you?
Yes.
So this is who is actually writing and this or telling the story in the books.
Just hold it up a bit higher, Katherine.
And this is Jazz.
Yes.
So Jazz is who is speaking in the books.
Yes.
And Jazz was always a bit cheeky. And so I'm continuing to write and illustrate. I've just finished a book on the circus. But then I'm so excited because what happened about a month ago is the son you were speaking of, Daniel, found a small tin building, which is about 9 feet by 5 feet wide. It was used in our Collingwood shipyard. It weighs tons, and it was used for the men who were soldering, welding the ship hull to go in there and get warmed up on our freezing winter days. So it's becoming the Jazz and Pixie hut, where little children can come and I can read them stories, or they can read stories about Jazz and Pixie.
Oh my gosh, Katherine, we have to do something together with this. This just rings all the bells. Well, as I thought would happen,
yes,
our half hour has zoomed by with you.
Zoomed by.
No pun intended.
Yes.
And I just want to thank you for all that you are doing for this community. And please tell us how people can get their own Jazz and Pixie books.
They can go to my Jazz and Pixie Stories website, or they can email me directly at Katherine Huycke, K-A-T Huycke at live.ca, and I'll be sure to follow up.
Terrific. Well, thank you for everything you do, Katherine.
Thank you very much, too, for having me on. I really appreciate that, Eric. Lovely.
It is a pleasure. It is a pleasure. Thanks for joining us on the stage door. Okay. And I'll see you on your patio for a glass of wine.
Absolutely. Anytime. You're invited. Okay, bye-bye.
Oh, that is so much fun. Isn't she a gem, Tanya?
Absolutely. I think I might have to get my hands on some of those books.
They are, I can tell you, I have test driven them with my granddaughter, and she adores them. They're her favorite books. So they really are fun, all illustrated by Katherine. And, you know, one thing I didn't mention about Katherine is that she's been wonderful about billeting performers for us. When we have performers in Collingwood, we need to find a place for them to stay. And actually, our next performer has stayed at Katherine's place. So that is a huge help for us when people do that. Before I start speaking with the wonderful Micha Barnes, we have a video to play, and I think everybody's in for a big treat. So without further ado, let's enjoy That's Life.
That's life, that's life, that's life, that's life.
That's life.
That's life.
That's what people say. You're riding high in April, shot down in May. I know I'm gonna change that soon. When I'm back on top in June. That's life.
That's life.
Funny as it seems, some people get their kick started on dreams. Don't let it get me down, 'cause this whole world keeps on spinning round. Been a puppet, a pauper, a pawn, and a king. I've been up, down, over and out. I know one thing. Each time I find myself flat on my face, pick myself up and get back in the race. That's life.
That's life.
I can't deny it. I thought of quitting, babe, but my heart wouldn't buy it. It didn't think it was one single try. You know I jump on a big bird and I'm flying. A poet, pawn and a king. I've been up, down, over and out, and I know one thing. Each time I find myself flat on my face, I pick myself up and get back in the race. Oh, that's life. I can't deny it. I thought of cutting out, but my heart wouldn't buy it. If there's nothing shaking, come here this July. Gonna roll me up in a big ball. Roll up in a big ball. Roll me up in a great big ball. And I die. 'Cause that's life. That's life.
Well, Micha Barnes, that was a treat. That was a treat. Thank you so much for joining us here. I adore you.
Darling, I'm delighted to be here, and thank you for having me. It's so lovely.
We have jazz royalty. Jazz royalty.
Goodness.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Well, listen, you know, I'm not sure how long I've known you, but it's been several years now, and I've been watching Micha Barnes for much longer than that. We've, unfortunately, this year, that rotten little virus canceled a show or postponed a show that we were doing with you, A Night in Vegas, which we were going to do in June. So just for everyone who's watching, we are going to do that show. We just have, as soon as we're allowed, right?
That's it. As soon as that we are legally able to.
Yes, I can't wait. I can't wait. So, Micha, I wanted to start off again with, like, you have such an interesting background. First of all, beginning with, you were born in Vienna.
Crazy. So
Yeah.
my Canadian parents were studying abroad. And they were having a romantic getaway from Vienna while they were in university. And they were in Florence, and they were like, oh, it's so romantic. We should make a baby. We're gonna be in one place for the next couple of years. We could have a baby. And then they woke up the next morning. They were like, no, that's a terrible idea.
Too late. Oh, that's so funny. That's so funny. Well, your parents both, actually, your whole family is just so incredibly creative. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about your parents.
With pleasure. I mean, a lot of people know about my father's musicality because he was a classical composer, but he originally was a pit drummer in shows and played jazz guitar and stuff. And he met my mom because my mom was friends with the musical director, Marianne Grudeff, and they were doing the Red Barn shows.
Oh, yes.
Some people remember those from
Yes, yes.
My mom's mom was a concert pianist, so she knew artists, she knew music. Between the two of them, they had the world of classical music and jazz. And so when my brothers and I grew up, we all grew up in households filled with music. And like my brother Daniel is a jazz drummer. My other brother Ari is a classical cellist. And I'm the black sheep because, of course, I'm just an entertainer.
Hardly. But I can't imagine what it must have been like in your house with this incredible amount of music, creativity, and talent, honestly.
You know, I have to honestly thank my parents for the leg up that it gave me because, I mean, it can be challenging. Like I would get off stage when I was a teenager and they would both give me notes, you know.
Yeah.
You know, for a kid, that's like, you know, you want your independence, you want to feel like you're, you know, becoming yourself, and your parents are like trying to help you figure out a career in the biz. But on the other hand, I believed that I could have a career in the biz. I watched my mom writing for Mr. Dress Up through my entire childhood.
Yes, and my childhood.
Well,
I am eternally grateful. Yeah.
It's interesting because she kind of raised Canada's children. She made sure that there was equality between the sexes and races. She made sure that kids were honored for where they lived. And she was my mom's an immigrant. She originally came from Europe, and she cared very deeply about making sure that children's experiences were better than her childhood had been.
Yes, right. Well, you know, I have to say, I mean, on a personal note, Mr. Dress Up, that show was a big part of my life growing up, you know, it really was. And then the highlight was when our class got to have a trip to the Mr. Dress Up studio, which you probably lived in.
A little bit. I'm a bit of a CBC brat. I literally would beg, please let me sit in where the directors are so I can see, because I love watching how they switch from camera to camera. And I would always try to figure out, like, why do they make that decision? Like, I was trying to figure out TV as a medium when I was a kid.
Yes.
And it's still strange for me. I'm so comfortable on a TV set. And we were talking about the video, That's Life. Being on a video set is like being on a TV set. So I'm very comfortable in front of the camera. And that's just osmosis. No one teaches you that. That was just how I grew up. You know what I mean? But I'm very blessed for that. Don't take it for granted. That's for sure.
You know, it's interesting to me that you said that, because when I was looking at your videos, your past videos, it's really, I absolutely love the way you've done the last several of them. It's really like stepping into an old movie, and not just the music. Like, it just feels like you're in this old, I don't know, maybe this isn't right, but I feel like at any moment, Doris Day is going to jump out.
That's exactly what we're thinking about. And I'm Rock Hudson.
Absolutely. Yeah, they really are so entertaining. I kind of, you know how we talk about when you go on YouTube and the next thing you're kind of down the rabbit hole and you're into like your 4th hour of watching. That's what happens when I'm on there with your stuff. And I mean that honestly, like it's extremely entertaining. I did notice, actually, I don't want to go there yet. I want to talk about, you were saying about you trying to find sort of your niche in the musical genre, and your parents were doing other things. And that makes me, it just conjures up in my mind the photo that we have of you with very long hair in the Nylons days.
Yeah.
And it's a terrific photo. Being a part of the Nylons, what was that experience like? And again, the Nylons were a huge part of my life growing up, you know?
No, I'm surprised. I meet people every day I meet people every day whose first cassette was a Nylons, whose first concert was a Nylons concert. So I will say it was a lot of pressure at first to step into a group that were my hometown heroes, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I mean, it was huge. And I mean, I was going straight from, you know, the dance and rock clubs of Toronto onto a concert stage, into the recording studio, and around the world on television. And, you know, it was a really giant leap for me at the time. And I was still in my 20s. So I will say that the pressure to be up to the gig was immense. The guys were very generous with me, and they really showed me the ropes. In fact, I will say that I still behave and sort of hold the beliefs that I was taught at that time. They really set me up for the rest of my career, and what it means to be making music for people as an entertainer, and how to take care of myself, how to make sure that I'm always honoring the audience who have come to see me, and also the people that I get to work with, like yourself, Erica, people who I get to meet through my work, but who become like a family of friends and support, and a kind of, I think if you're genuinely authentic with people in this industry, you build a kind of a trust and respect and authentic relationships. And that's what I learned when I was with the boys.
So interesting. And I think it had to have been difficult to step in with people who had already worked with each other. You know, I mean, that's a tough gig. But you were with them for, I think, is it 7 or 8 years or 9 years or something like that, right?
Yeah, enough time to make a couple of records, really put my stamp on the group, and kind of really live comfortably in the Nylons world, to the point where I really, I mean, when I left, I was exhausted from touring, you know. It was shocking. That back in the heyday, we were literally almost never home. And it does something to your psyche. I remember when I was like, I need to put my feet on the ground. I need to be home. I need to wake up and know where I am, you know. And it was okay with me when it was time to leave. It was really time to leave. And I don't regret it, but I just loved making harmony. Like, vocal harmony to me is heaven.
Yeah, yeah.
I would do that. I would still be doing that. In fact, I quietly have a gospel quintet group that features ex-Nylons, and we're just putting the act together right now. And I just love singing with those guys.
I'm excited. I can see where, you know, you got that training with really the best a cappella group in Canada. I mean, I hate to say this, because sometimes in Canada we don't necessarily know our artists' names.
Yes.
That happens. People don't know everybody's names, but you say the Nylons, and people know.
Yeah.
They know.
I have no problem with people saying, Micha Barnes, you know, that guy from the Nylons.
Yeah.
I'm with me. Like, that's how I met most of the public that I sing for today, and that makes me happy.
Embrace it.
Am I?
And you also you perform with your brother a lot too, right? Which must be kind of fun.
Oh, I love it. I mean, we made a couple of records together where we co-produced them, and we've co-written. In fact, we co-wrote the title song of the new record together. Like, we're very musically, you know. This is my brother Daniel, who's a jazz drummer, and we love to work together. It's always been a real blessing. That's for sure. You know.
That's amazing. And okay, so let's talk about the latest album, because Tanya mentioned something to me the other day, and I'm going to let her ask this question because
Sure.
it's so true. Do you know what I'm talking about, Tanya?
I don't.
Oh, okay.
You have to give me more. You have to tell.
You said, I can't imagine what it would be like releasing an album
Oh.
during a pandemic. But I
Totally.
will say, if I've got this right, Micha, I'm sure the numbers have changed. #1 iTunes jazz album,
Yes.
over 100,000 views of Vegas Breeze video,
Yeah.
over 155,000 streams on Spotify. Like,
Wow.
you did it, man. You did it during a pandemic. And the album is beautiful. I highly, highly recommend that people buy it. It is so good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still a little amazed at how we pulled it off. A lot of it has to do with we built a lot of momentum with a couple of singles that we released. The That's Life single that
Yeah.
we showed the video for, and When in Rome, which was the second single, which did really, really well for us on the radio as well. And so something clicked with this album with the public, which I will say, my fan base on the New York Stories album, which was our last record, was mostly female. Now, I can't tell you why that is, but late night, you know, drinks in a New York bar,
We
everyone.
all want to go and have love in New York.
You know what? I think that's what it is. It's kind of like the rom-com record.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
right?
It's a beautiful album, too. It's
Thank
a
you.
beautiful album.
It's definitely about romance in New York.
Mhm.
So I think women really took to it. With the Vegas Breeze album, the guys came on board.
Yeah, they all want to be Frank Sinatra.
Everybody wants to be a cool Rat Pack dude, right?
Yeah.
And my job on this album was to reinvent the Vegas entertainer, kind of using my own personality and my own identity musically and as an entertainer. Like, what would it be like if Micha Barnes from 2020 was to be
Yeah.
suddenly parachuted down into 1962 in a great big Vegas showroom? What would he sing? What would his band sound like?
Yeah.
What kind of show would it be? You know?
Well, Micha, it shows the longevity and how those songs are equally lovable today. Like, you know, not in the 1960s, we loved them, but they're just so wonderful now. And I'll even go as far as saying there's a medicinal factor to this album during the pandemic. It's beautiful,
Wow.
soulful music from a time when maybe we didn't think we had to worry as much. Maybe that's it.
Erica, you know, you're putting your finger on what I'm hearing from people who have embraced this album and this
Yeah.
music. They're saying, I put it on and I felt like I was transported to an old school Vegas. Like, none of us can travel right now.
Yeah.
And our lives are really in a revolution. Doesn't matter who you are. Our lives are all in a revolution. And so to remember us sort of with nostalgia, but hopefully reinvented in a way that feels contemporary, I think people have really responded to it because of that. And thank you for pointing that out. It's been beautiful to have something to offer to people at a time like this.
Yeah, you know, I really believe that. And I think maybe what I really feel is that I think it's the value of artists that during this pandemic, and we've talked about this on this show before, is what really has got people through it. And I fundamentally believe it's the arts. It's being able, when you're locked at home, to listen to sweet music and see some beautiful images or watch a lovely old movie or something like that. It's really the artists that are getting us through it. So I thank
Very
you for
interesting
that.
you say that. Oh, my darling, it's I thank you for pointing out that, and it makes me feel like after all is said and done, we're not just marketing music, we're giving something to people.
Yeah.
And that the timing worked out, even though it was such a difficult time, that it's been so embraced has been like really a special thing, because we worked hard on this album, and it would have been awful if people were like, yeah, we can't go to Vegas right now.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. Well, I think you have to speak about your team, because, and one
Sure.
portion of that team, your clothes, Micha, that stunning outfit that you're wearing in the
You mean
Vegas Breeze. Well, now, all the time. But your suit in Vegas Breeze, and that's life. It's you have some lovely designers that work with you as well.
You know what it is? I'm working with two stylists, two different ones. One that helps me style me for the live shows, and one that styles me for the photos and the videos. So what's happened is, because look, I like to wear nice clothes.
Mhm.
In my mind, I'm always like, I like the old movies. I love Marcello Mastroianni and the Fellini movies, always great in a suit, or obviously, Cary Grant, he's the dude, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, right? So because I'm a jazz singer, I have a chance to, embody that sort of classic look. But I don't have the eye for like the colors and shapes and stuff.
Okay,
And I
right.
really trust them. So I've got, Leonardo Delano has been taking care of the photos and the videos. And our very own Tom Allison is the gentleman who styles me for all my live shows.
Oh my gosh. Well, and we love Tom so much. We all love Tom.
Yeah.
Especially Catherine. I'll call him Catherine, especially Catherine. I wanted to mention, and I don't know where I wrote it down. I believe I saw written somewhere that let's give everybody the little publicity that they can get. There's a store in Toronto that you work with.
Style. Yes, we've been working with Got Style. They've been fantastic. Melissa and her team. I'll tell you, they went beyond for my album cover shoot, because I went there and I was like, I think this is the right jacket. And they said, well, what are you looking for? And I was like, I need this, I need this. We went, okay, try this place, try that place. I mean, like, I am telling you that they almost styled me for the album by sending me to the malls. I mean, they were not kidding around. And you don't expect that from like a retail out, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Fantastic. And I've worn their stuff on many album covers, because they do that men's style, the next level up, just beautiful.
Yes, well, we're showing some of your album covers, just so we can show that beautiful style, Yeah, no, it's amazing. It's really the whole package, like the whole, and I think that's probably where what leads to really great success is, it's not just one element. It takes a village.
You're right. Yeah, when we think of Frank Sinatra and Nat King Cole, or any of the greats, we think of how they dressed. And I've always, I can be a jeans and t-shirt guy as easy as the next guy,
I think I've never seen you in jeans and t-shirts. I'm not sure. Maybe once.
I hope you never will. I hope you never will. Because I'm a crooner, right? I'm a modern day crooner. So my job is to give it from the heart, but also to give it with class.
And you do. I have to say that occasionally we do end up at certain productions together, and it's always, what's Micha wearing? What's Tom wearing? Let's see how, and can I live up to it? I tried to wear my schnazzy jacket for you today.
I think it's snazzy as hell.
Not quite Vegas, but I'm trying. That's it. So Micha, so we know that you're working on sort of maybe a little gospel thing. I know what I didn't mention is that you are a teacher. You share this ability that you have with other artists. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, with pleasure. It's one of the great, great pleasures of my life. I have a real calling to help support and develop the next generation. I didn't have a teacher when I was young as a singer that set me up for everything that this career would entail.
Yeah.
So I like to be that guy for people. And I'm very blessed in that I can coach all across the genres. Like I have country artists, rock and roll people. I've taught in the hip hop urban area, like, and of course jazz. But it's like singer-songwriters are sort of my specialty. And one of the young artists that I've had the pleasure of mentoring since he was very young is a wonderful songwriter called J.P. Sachs, whose song is climbing the Billboard charts right now, called "If the World Was Ending, You'd Come Over, Right?"
Maybe that was written for the pandemic.
It's turned out to be that pandemic anthem.
Yeah.
And so it's an example of like when you get inside a young artist and be able to help them understand who they are, understand how to work in the business. And right up until JP signed with Arista Records, I was consulting, with all the different decisions that we make in our careers. Because as a coach, I like to talk career strategy. I certainly like to talk about identity, artist identity, how we market and package. But more than anything, coming from an authentic place is the only thing that audiences care about.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, and I think the thing is, as you say, if you're authentic, then when the tough times come and you speak authentically to people about what you're going through,
yes,
they believe you and they're there for you. And it amazes me, I've always loved artists, but I'm so proud of artists in what they have done through this whole time that we're in, giving of themselves often, for almost always for free. It's really incredible. You were talking about being a coach, and I think sometimes when music students come out of school, they get some great training, but there's oftentimes some things they don't have, and maybe that's where you're able to take care of them, and of course taking care of their instrument. And I had the opportunity to watch some of your coaching videos, and it's to me it seems, and I mean I've sort of been aware of these things over the years, but it's those little tweaks that a good coach can do that can save a voice or save a vocal cord or what have you, or so it's fascinating to watch.
I'm working with 3 different singers right now that are doing reparative work coming back from vocal damage. And it's one of the tricky things as a coach, because you don't want to push too hard. You have to go very gently. And because I've worked with people who have very high yield careers, sometimes, because usually as a coach, I get the call from a manager or a label, help, they're about to go on tour and they've lost their voice, or they're in the middle of a great big show and they can't sing, like help,
Yeah.
So you become a little bit of like a magician. But the secret is always for singers to prepare themselves early in their careers to have vocal health. And I really do like to get in there and really help guide good practice, good rituals, good daily routines, so that people feel that they have confidence in their voice and their instrument. That helps a lot when we're out there on stage, right? Knowing what you can rely on,
Right. That's amazing. Well, as I knew, and I hope that everyone else knows now, you are so multi-talented, and I encourage everyone. How do they get your album right now?
Oh, the best thing is to go to michabarnes.com, because the download from iTunes and the Spotify, and also the order of a hard copy are all available from my website. And that's, sort of, you can get to the YouTube and all the socials from there too. So michabarnes.com is really the perfect place for people to go.
Terrific. And I encourage everyone to do that. And Micha, I have to thank you, because I do know that you are in the Great White North right now. You are not in the city. And I appreciate you taking time out of your little small vacation to spend time with us. So thank you.
Erica, you have been such a genuinely warm and loving presence for the performers who get to work with you at Peter Collingwood. and yourself and Katherine and all the wonderful people who help make Theatre Collingwood happen are very important to both myself and Tom and to many, many, many performers and entertainers that you work with. So it's a pleasure to be with you today.
Oh, well, thank you so much. And I cannot wait until we have you in Collingwood and your fantastic show with Tom. I cannot wait.
Can't wait either.
It'll be here soon. I'm certain of it. Yes. So stay well, my friend.
Thank you.
And enjoy the rest of your little escape.
Thank you so much. Lovely to be here with you.
Thank you.
Mwah.
Yay! I got a kiss from Micha Barnes. Yeah. Well, Tanya, we're at the end of our show. And how did week 4 go by so quickly?
It's amazing. Wow, that hour just zips by. I was so engrossed in that, listening to your conversation. It was fabulous.
Oh, well, we are, I feel so lucky to be able to have these conversations. I'd like to thank the town of Collingwood and yourself, Tanya and Tyler. Thank you to our guests, Katherine Huycke and Micha Barnes. And I also want to mention once again our wonderful sponsors, Blue Mountain Resort and our friend John Tyndale from Beach Hearing. So
such a pleasure. Yeah.
Everyone have a safe and healthy, oh, actually, I was going to say 2 weeks. You have an announcement.
Yeah. So we would normally be back on September 2nd, but we won't be back until September 16th. And that is because on the 2nd, the Simcoe Street Theatre, where I am and Tyler is located, our technical producer, the theater is going to be used for a closed production that will be live streamed called Tom Thompson's Week. And that features Shipyard Kitchen Party, and it's a story about the life of Canadian painter Tom Thompson. So
it's a wonderful show. I highly recommend that people jump on board and support that project. They're doing a super job. So we will be back on, what is the date?
The 16th. We'll be back on the 16th.
And I will be past the move. So I'll be like, come on.
Yeah. Oh, and you know what? I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Rochelle Reynolds. She emailed me to let me know that, I just got to look at my notes here.
Rochelle was our guest on the last show.
Yeah, from Quarter Century Theatre. She made it into the regional finals for the World Monologue Games.
Yay!
It's a global competition that originated in Australia, and her performance is going to be live coming up. And you can check out the monologuegames.com.au. I think Tyler might be putting the website up there. People want to go on and support Rochelle because it's kind of an exciting thing. So
wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah. Congratulations, Rochelle. Yeah. All right. So we will see you in a few weeks, whatever that date was.
We will. The 16th. Yes.
Thank you again. Join us when we go once again behind the stage door. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.